Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholes. This week I have something very special, and it is also terribly long overdue. This week we're headed to Norway for 3 new tales brought to us by our favorite translator, Simon Roy Hughes. And Simon is, again, he's a translator. He's done some wonderful work translating Norwegian folklore, and I highly recommend that you all head over to Amazon or your favorite bookstore and pick up a copy of 5 Norwegian White Bear Tales. It is new and it is wonderful. Our first tale is a story about not judging a book by its cover and all of the mess that comes thereof. Also, being an overprotective father, there's just a lot to unpack in this. This is the daughter of the King of the Finns. There was a king whom they called the King of the Finns, and he had a daughter whom he held so dear. One time when he was going out to war, he dared not leave her at home. He thought he had noticed that something was going on between her and the servant boy. So he put her in a mound in the forest. She took with her 9 maids and food and clothing and whatever else they might need. The king's daughter and the maids tried to dig themselves out of the mound with their bare hands. They dug for 9 years, and each year one of the maids died. But when the 9th year was drawing to an end, the king's daughter made a hole in the mound and went on her way. The king of the Finns discovered that his servant boy was a king's son, so he wanted to go home and let his daughter out of the mound and let her have the king's son. But the king died on his way home, and no one could find the king's daughter. Then came a witch and said that she was the king's daughter, and things went such that she and the king's son were to hold a wedding. In the meantime, the rightful king's daughter had stayed with some charcoal burners on her first night. The following day a wolf had helped her cross a large river. Eventually, she had come to the king's farm, but no one knew her, so she went into service there. One day, the king's son said to the witch, "If you are the daughter of the king of the Finns, you will complete the seam that is begun here." She tried, but couldn't do it. She had to get the king's daughter to help her. The next day, the king's son set the sorceress to finish some weaving, but this went just as well. The king's daughter had to help her. Then the king's son said to the witch, "Tomorrow we shall be married, and if you are the daughter of the king of the Finns, then you will ride the horse you rode in the old days." But the witch hag could not get up on the horse, Grey Buckskin, and had the king's daughter ride to the church in her stead. When the time came for them to set off, the king's daughter said, fall down, gentle Grey Buckskin. To church rides the daughter of the King Finn." When they came to the mound, she said, "My tears they ran, which no one has found. I lost 9 maids right here in the mound. I dried up my tears, but no one dared say that I was left here with nary a maid." When they came to the charcoal heaps, she said, "Much and many things did I learn. Stacks of charcoal here I watched burn." When they came to the river, she said, "Though suffering hurt and many a lack, I rode across here on the grey shank's back." At the church, the groom gave his gloves to the bride and bade her hide them well and not to give them to anyone else but him. In the evening, the groom went to bed, and when the bride came to the bedroom, he would not let her get into bed with him until she had repeated what she had said when she got on the horse. So the bride went off to ask the king's daughter and returned with the answer. But then he would not let her get into bed with him until she had repeated what she had said when they were riding past the mound. The bride again went off to ask the king's daughter, and once and again, when he asked her to repeat what she had said at the charcoal stacks and the river. But then he asked what he had done with his gloves, and these the king's daughter would not part with, but she flew to the king's son herself. And then it all came out, and the witch was put in a nail barrel and rolled into the sea. And that is The Daughter of the King of the Finns, a story of not judging a book by its cover, which if the King of the Finns had not done at the beginning of the tale, then, well, all of this romance between the king's son and the king's daughter would have been accelerated and much less painful, but also not overreacting as a father, right? I mean, so there may be something going on with your daughter, a princess, and a servant boy. Don't bury her with 9 maids in a mound in the forest. That is an outsized reaction, if I had ever heard one. This is Dan Scholes for the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you like to listen. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'd also like to take an opportunity to shout out to our newest Patreon member, S. Marie. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world. If you'd like to become a patron, you can head over to patreon.com/folktaleproject, and for as little as $1 a month, you get early access to every story that's told, and you also get a full transcript of every tale, and your own private RSS feed to hear the stories. As always, thank you so much for listening.